Hello everyone, my name is Putri Hindarto. I'm the Learning Technologies Manager at the Information School, and in this video I will go over Zoom basics for meeting host. The topics I will cover include Zoom Pro features and limitations, how to download the Zoom client, how to access your UW Zoom account, schedule meetings, as well as basic meeting controls. All UW faculty, staff, and students now have Zoom Pro accounts. With the Zoom Pro account, you can create unlimited number of meetings, run meetings without time limit, and you can have up to 300 attendees. However, you cannot run multiple meetings simultaneously. Since each account can only run one meeting at a time, if you happen to have a large class with multiple sections, instead of you creating Zoom URLs for the main class and the separate sections, I highly recommend having TAs create Zoom URLs for their own sections. Since we're all going to be using Zoom quite a lot, it's a good idea to install the Zoom desktop client. You can download the Zoom desktop client by going to zoom.us, scroll all the way down, and under Download, click on Meetings Client. And here, the very first one that you see will be the one that you want to download and install. So I'll show you a couple different ways on how you can access your UW Zoom account. The first way is via the web, and you can simply open up a browser window and on the address bar type in washington.zoom.us. And here you want to click on the Sign In to Standard UW Zoom, and you'll be prompted to type in your UW NetID and password. When you click on Sign In, you will see your Zoom profile. A few things to note on this profile page is that you can change your profile picture. The profile picture will get shown to other people in the meeting when you don't have your webcam turned on. To add a profile picture, just click on the Change link, click on Upload, and then select the picture that you would like to use. Next thing you'll see is the personal meeting ID. Even if this is your very first time logging into your UW Zoom account, you should already have a personal meeting ID, and you can use this URL right away to meet. Underneath, you'll see what's called the personal link. Zoom meeting URLs tend to have very long string of numbers at the end of it, which can be hard to remember. So if you would like to create a personal link for your personal meeting ID, you can click on Customize, type in an alias, and click on Save Changes. So now you can use your personal link and your personal meeting ID URL interchangeably. Next, I will show you how to access your UW Zoom account via the desktop client. Once you have opened up the Zoom app, click on Sign In, and then click on Sign In with SSO, which stands for Single Sign-On. Under the company domain, you want to make sure that you type in Washington, and then click on Continue. If you weren't already logged in with your UW NetID in the browser, you'll be prompted to do so. And once you're logged in, you'll see this Launch Application window, and when you click on Open Link, you'll get taken back to Zoom app. And as you can see, you should be logged in to your UW account. Next, I will go over how to schedule a meeting from the website, as well as from the Zoom desktop client. Let's start off with the Zoom website. Once you're logged in to washington.zoom.us, you can click on Schedule a Meeting here at the top. And here you can put in the name of your meeting, as well as a description. You can also set up a time for when this meeting will start, as well as the duration. If this meeting is recurring, you can click on the Recurring Meeting checkbox, and you can choose how often the meeting will reoccur, how many times it repeats, and when you want the recurrence to end, either by date or after however many occurrences. If you don't want any date or time to be associated with your meeting, next to Recurrence, click on the drop-down menu and choose No Fixed Time. Underneath, you will see options for the meeting ID. By default, Generate Automatically is selected. This means that when you create the meeting, a new URL will be created. If you prefer for this meeting to use your personal meeting ID, you can select that. That means that this meeting will use your personal meeting ID URL. You can also set a meeting password if you choose. Underneath are the options for video and audio. You can choose what happens when a host or a participant join in the meeting. By default, I have turned off the video for the host as well as the participant. Even though you have the video turned off here by default when a host or a participant joins in the meeting, they will still be able to enable their webcams manually. And here you have the option for audio. By default, both is selected. I recommend keeping this option. That way, if people run into connectivity issues, they can simply call into the meeting to listen. For meeting options, you can choose to enable join before host. You can also check the box for mute participants upon entry. I highly recommend having this checked, especially if there will be quite a lot of people joining your meeting. So let's say you're expecting 200 students to join your class. It's a good idea to keep this option checked. That way, when your students come in, they will automatically be muted by default. You can also choose to enable a waiting room. This means that you have to manually approve participants to allow them to join in your meeting. There's also the option to only authenticated users can join. So users have to be logged in to their UW Zoom account to be able to access your meeting. If you're planning on doing some breakout rooms and you want to pre-assign those breakout rooms, you can check this box. And here you can create the rooms and import a CSV. Please check out our other video tutorials to learn more about the breakout room pre-assignment. And the last option here that you can check is to record the meeting automatically. So when you join a meeting, the recording will automatically start. The last part here is the field where you can add alternative hosts. If you plan on having other people help you moderate your meeting, like for instance, if you have TAs who will be joining your Zoom meeting, you can type in their UW email here. And that means that when they join in your meeting, they'll automatically be upgraded as co-host, and they'll be able to help you start moderating the meeting right away. Once all of the settings look good, click on Save. You'll be able to see immediately the URL that you can send to your student or your other participants. I would also like to call your attention to this link, copy the invitation. Here, it includes not only the URL to the meeting, but ways that your participants can call in, like the phone number and the meeting ID, all spelled out, just in case they run into any connectivity issues. To schedule a Zoom meeting from the Zoom desktop client, you can click on Schedule. And the options should look pretty familiar already. Here you can name your meeting, put when the meeting will happen, or if the meeting is recurring. The options are very similar to the options you see when we were creating a meeting via the website. So I'm not going to go over any of these options in depth, but I want you to note that you can scroll down. The advanced options is collapsed, so make sure that you click on it to expand it and choose the correct settings for your meeting, and then click on Schedule. In order to find the meetings that you have already created, you can click on this Meetings button at the top. You'll see the list of meetings that you have. You can start the meeting from here. You can also copy the invitation. You can also click on this Show Meeting Invitation to see it in more detail, and you can copy and paste from here as well. Let's go over the different meeting controls that you'll have as a host. I've started one of my meetings right here. And if you take a look at the bottom navigation toolbar, when you're the host, you'll definitely see quite a few more icons there, but most of them should be pretty familiar. One thing I will definitely go over is the Manage Participants area. Here you'll see the list of people who are currently in your meeting. And if you mouse over a name, you'll have the option to unmute them. By clicking on More, you can initiate a private chat with them. You can also ask them to start their video, make them a host, a co-host, allow them to record, rename, put them on hold, or remove them completely from the meeting. In terms of how the participant list is ordered, your name will be shown at the top. If you have co-hosts, like if you have TAs or people who are helping to moderate the meeting, they will also float to the top. Next, you will see a list of participants in alphabetical order. However, there are a few instances when participants' names will float to the top, like when a participant unmuted themselves, their name will float up. Or if a participant had clicked on the raise hand icon, they will float to the top as well. It's a good idea to encourage students to use the raise hand icon if they have any questions or comments. Even though technically they can also type in their questions or comments in the chat, it takes longer to type than it is to speak. And we found that in the online and hybrid classes here at the iSchool, there are a lot of instances when students would type in their question, and by the time they post their question, we've already moved on to another topic. So it's much faster to just have them click on the raise hand icon, and you can call on their name and have them unmute. Let's say you finish answering student 2's question, but they forgot to lower their hand. You can just mouse over their name and then click on lower hand. A few other things to note on the bottom. You can mute all of the participants. This is really handy if you happen to have a lot of participants who are unmuted and there's audio feedback or a lot of background noise. You can just click on mute all. You can also unmute everybody. I wouldn't recommend it if you have a lot of people in your meeting. And lastly, when you click on more, you have additional options. The first is mute participants on entry, allow participants to unmute themselves, play enter or exit chime when people join in or leave the meeting. You can allow participants to rename themselves, and you can also lock the meeting, which means new people can join in this meeting. We'll go over polls real quick. It's possible to create polls in Zoom, but you have to do it through the Zoom website. You can't create or edit polls directly within the Zoom meeting. If you click on this edit button right there, a browser window will open up. And here you can enter the name of the poll, type in your question and answers, and then click on save. And if you scroll all the way down, you'll see the list of polls that you have created for your meeting. You can edit them, you can delete them, you can add new ones. I recommend creating these polls in advance because they're a bit unwieldy to create on the fly during your meeting. And once you have a poll created, when you're ready for the poll to go out, you can click on Launch Poll. You can see the result of the poll, and when you end the poll, you have the option to share the results with everyone in the meeting. If you have multiple polls, the section at the top here will become a drop-down menu, and you can select which poll that you want to see and launch. Next, we have the Share Screen option. When you click on Share Screen, you can select which monitor, which window, or which application that you would like to share. If you would like to share an audio or video, make sure that you click on the Share Computer Sound and optimize screen share for video clip. Please make sure that before you start screen sharing, that you have closed all the windows and application that you don't want others to see. I'll go over chat real quick. You have the ability to chat privately with a particular attendee or with everyone in the meeting, and you can use this drop-down menu to select who you would like to send your chat message to. To the right of it, you'll see a button where you can upload files and post them to chat. This is really handy if you happen to have documents or handouts that you would like to share. If you click on the three dots, you can choose to allow participants to chat with everyone publicly and privately, only with everyone publicly, only with hosts, or with no one. You can select whichever one depending on your preferences. If you click on more, you'll see the recording options. You can either record to your computer or record to cloud. When you record to the cloud, those recordings will be kept for 1 year, and after 1 year, they will be deleted. So make sure that if you record to the cloud, you download the recording files and back them up before they get deleted. A really nice advantage of recording to a cloud is that Zoom will automatically transcribe them, and the transcription is pretty good. So if you have a student who is hard of hearing or there's someone who really needs transcription, it's good to record to a cloud. One caveat is that right now Zoom is currently experiencing pretty heavy loads, so it's taking them longer, a day, maybe more, for the cloud recordings to be processed. So if you really need the recordings right away, then I would suggest that you record to your computer locally instead. Lastly, I will go over breakout rooms real quick. You can assign participants into however many rooms that you would like, and you can have Zoom assign students to the breakout rooms automatically, or you can do that yourself manually. So let's say I will create 2 rooms and have Zoom automatically and randomly assign students to those 2 rooms. When I click on Create Breakout Rooms, I'll see the list of breakout rooms as well as how many students are inside each breakout room. But even once you have the breakout rooms created, you can still move students around. So let's say you want to move student 1 to breakout room 1. You can just mouse over their name, click on Move To, and move them to the breakout room that you would like them to be in. Or if you would like to switch students around, then you can mouse over the student name, click on Exchange, and then switch it with another student who is in a different breakout room. If you need additional rooms, you can click on Add Room, but once everything looks good, you can click on Open All Rooms. As a host, you will be able to join the different breakout rooms to make sure that students are doing okay. Heads up though, that only the host can manage the breakout rooms. So if you would like your TA, who is a co-host in the meeting, and you would want them to be the one managing the breakout rooms, then you'll have to make them the host of the meeting. And as a reminder, you can make someone a host from the participant area by hovering over their name, clicking on More, and click on Make Host. So I'm going to go ahead and join Breakout Room 2. Inside the breakout room, you still have the breakout room controls. You just have to click on this breakout room icon on the bottom. If you need to switch to another breakout room, you can just click on Join. You also have the option to broadcast a message. This is good to use to send out things like 5-minute warnings. And when you click on Broadcast, everyone who are inside the breakout room will be able to see that message. This is good to let them know to wrap up their discussions or their activities and get ready to be moved back to the main room. When you're ready to have everyone back to the main session, you can click on Close All Rooms. A countdown from 60 seconds will start, and during this time, students have the option to either stay in the breakout rooms until the countdown is over or click Return to the main session. Once the countdown hits 0, everyone who are still in the breakout rooms will be moved to the main session. Once you are done with your meeting, you can click on End Meeting, and then click on End Meeting for All, and the meeting will close for everybody. If in your account settings you choose to automatically save chats, a folder will open up where you can access the chat text file. If you had done any recording to your own computer, once you end the meeting, the recording will start to process, and you'll also be able to find the recording file in the same folder. If you have trouble finding your recordings, just click on Documents and then click on the Zoom folder, and underneath you'll see all of the subfolders for each of the meeting that you run, and the recording will be contained inside one of the subfolders. If you had recorded your meeting to the cloud, you can access it by going to washington.zoom.us and logging in. On the left sidebar, click on Recordings, and here you'll be able to see the cloud recordings that you have created. Keep in mind that it does take some time for the recordings to process. If you would also like to see the name of the people who were in your meeting, you can go to Reports, click on Usage, scroll down to the right, and under the participant column, it's a little hard to see, but you'll see numbered links, and that indicates how many people that were in a particular meeting. If you click on the numbered link, you can see who had joined your meeting, when they join, and then when they leave. You can also export it and download it as a CSV file if needed. That concludes the Zoom Basics tutorial for Meeting Host. If you would like to learn more about Zoom, please check out our other video tutorials.